The billionaire wife he betrayed, and the night she took everything back. Preston Carter arrived at New York City's most exclusive diamond gala wearing confidence like a crown, and Tiffany Blake on his arm. He treated the invitation like proof he'd finally made it, laughing loudly, soaking up attention, and acting like the room belonged to him. At home, he had left his pregnant wife, Vivian, with insults instead of care, convinced she was nothing more than a quiet housewife. He didn't realize the gala wasn't a reward. It was a trap, carefully timed, patiently built, and owned by the woman he'd spent years shrinking. Vivian's story began far from Manhattan. After her father Henry Sinclair's funeral, she learned the truth everyone missed. The simple mechanic had quietly patented an invention that made him enormously wealthy. The fortune flowed through a holding group called Aurora, guided by Benedict Ashford, a powerful banker who helped Vivian keep her identity protected. Burned by betrayal before, Vivian chose a different life, one where love could be tested without money in the room. She moved, worked simply, and met Preston when he seemed kind and genuine. They married, and Vivian hid her wealth behind layers of ownership. She even supported Preston's company, Carter Ventures, through discreet funding, not to control him, but to believe in him. Over time, however, Preston changed. Sweetness turned into constant criticism. Respect faded. He began acting as if everything was his and Vivian contributed nothing. Then came the cheating, disguised as work, and the slow, numb heartbreak of seeing lies printed in spending records. In their 5th year, Preston's assistant Tiffany became his mistress. Vivian endured until one moment cracked the last bit of hope. She got pregnant and tried to share the news gently, only to be met with cruelty and cold distance. Preston wouldn't touch her belly, wouldn't even acknowledge their daughter, yet Vivian later saw him tenderly touching Tiffany's belly in public. That was the moment Vivian stopped waiting for the old Preston to return. She started planning the end. On the morning of the gala, chaos hit in waves. A media leak threatening to expose Vivian early, Tiffany bragging about Preston's divorce plan, and worst, news that Preston had forged Vivian's signature to take a massive loan against their home to fund Tiffany's new life. Preston sang in the shower while Vivian quietly turned the crisis into evidence. That night, the ballroom lights dimmed and the host announced Aurora's owner. Preston smirked, until Vivian stepped onto the grand staircase in a midnight blue gown, visibly pregnant, wearing a priceless family necklace. The room shifted. Vivian revealed the truth. Preston's empire was built on her money, her companies, her invisible support. Records displayed. Forgery exposed. His lies collapsed in public, and authorities moved in. The man who mocked her as small was suddenly the smallest person in the room. But victory didn't end the danger. Online opinion turned. Lawyers tried to attack her character and even reach for custody. Preston, desperate, broke into her home, only to be stopped and arrested again. Vivian learned a hard truth. Justice isn't fireworks. It's finally breathing after years of holding your breath. Later, Vivian gave birth safely, surrounded by the people who truly loved her. And instead of living for headlines, she built something real. A foundation to help women escape emotional and financial control, offering legal aid, housing, training, childcare, and the one thing she had needed most when she felt trapped, proof that leaving doesn't mean becoming nothing.